I definitely knew there was going to be some backlash. That's the way it always is. If someone wins, someone doesn't. Being a Patriots fan, when they beat the Seahawks, I got bad backlash. The thing I wasn't expecting was I've been getting a lot of just very negative, like, racial slurs and, like, actually threats towards myself and my parents from my friends who are on the other side.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a small business owner / artist, and I voted for Jill Stein.
I am Lauren. I am a full-time activist, and I voted for Hillary.
My name's Ryan. I work in the nightlife industry, and I voted for Trump.
Why'd you vote for Jill Stein?
Bernie was taken out of the race. He was the only one that was keeping me with the Democratic Party. They lost me during these Obama years.
Similar reasoning. I was a Bernie person for a really long time. In comparison to Trump, Hillary is exponentially better in my book, so.
As far as the hand that we were dealt, the hand with a pile of shit or a pile of shit with sprinkles on top, yeah, I'm gonna go with the second one. I like you guys.
I like you guys too. This is gonna be fun.
Ooh, ice cubes and everything.
Pretty. Do I start? Treat you guys right.
Yeah, go ahead, because I don't even know how to use that.
Really?
See, Lauren, do you think you could show Ryan how to smoke out the bong?
Yes. So, ooh, pretty. You take it. That's it.
Nice.
It's gonna be the hardest thing I've done all day.
Yep. Now, it's the test time.
It only gets easier.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
My parents were proud.
Who's carrying me home?
I very much like marijuana because it very much helps my anxiety, which is perfect for this situation.
Do you feel like there's some bonding happening here? So are there bridges being built?
Never thought it would happen. Honestly, never called this one. Feelings are really, really tough right now. We don't really want to listen. We want to be mad and make a statement and stand up for some really, really important issues that we should stand up for. Fighting against hate crimes, hate groups. Like, do you like hate groups? Right? Yeah, see? Most people don't like hate groups, so we have things in common.
How are you, Ryan?
What was the question again?
Donald Trump has been painted as this bigot, and a racist. How do you work that out?
I mean, that's a damn good question. This is one of the things where I know he's just flat out said things that I don't know how they didn't get him kicked out of the race right then and there. But that is another one of the things where it's being said in a certain way. Some of them, yeah, he might just truly be an asshole at some points. But he's saying other things in a way, like having really strong borders or building a wall and all that bullshit. Like, I don't agree with that, but I agree with the point on, like, say, maybe we do need better security, but it should be easier for people to get into this country if they want to get into this country. So, don't remember the whole point I was making, but I like what I just put down. Where do you think you're going?
You talking to an Oreo? That just happened.
It's like talking to me. I could go for a mad quiche right now.
This is a game created called Common Ground. So let's get a baseline. All right, you guys?
All right.
Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton. Game of Thrones.
Well, not like the low spectrum, but it's not bad.
Oral sex.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Which kind of oral?
What kind do you think?
The normal one?
What's the normal one?
If I have to tell you, you don't want to know.
Beyonce.
I don't.
Come on.
I don't have an opinion. I don't want the Bayhive after me, so.
Did you thumbs down? Oh my
She's
God.
married to a man who likes the New York Yankees. I'm from Boston. I don't do that shit.
Once again, blaming a woman for her husband's deeds.
How about the show Supernatural on the CW?
I've been meaning to watch it.
It's good. You should.
It's not The Flash.
Zac Efron. Wow, look at that. Everyone is a fan of Zac Efron.
He's got talent.
Yep.
Getting consent before having sex. Black Lives Matter. So why do you feel conflicted?
When you say Black Lives Matter, for me, all it boils down to is who is saying it. Because again, 95% of the people who say that, who are part of that group, that is a great cause. Everything they've been doing is correct. Everything they're doing is right. But then there's a small asshole percent who uses that and takes it to the extreme. Who's the news filming this time? Who's saying what this time?
White supremacy. Electoral college.
The Electoral College.
Bernie Sanders. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Yeah, you have to like this guy.
You can't not.
Yo,
so
why
nice.
doesn't he run in 2020?
Obama. What makes you conflicted, Matt?
There's like a lot of things with like the Affordable Care Act. We got some really good stuff put through, but we didn't get the single payer. And because of
How has the reaction to Trump winning felt?
I definitely knew there was going to be some backlash. That's the way it always is. If someone wins, someone doesn't. Being a Patriots fan, when they beat the Seahawks, I got bad backlash. The thing I wasn't expecting was I've been getting a lot of just very negative, like racial slurs and like actually threats towards myself and my parents from my friends who are on the other side.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a small business owner / artist, and I voted for Jill Stein.
I am Lauren. I am a full-time activist, and I voted for Hillary.
My name's Ryan. I work in the nightlife industry, and I voted for Trump.
Why'd you vote for Jill Stein?
Bernie was taken out of the race. He was the only one that was keeping me with the Democratic Party. They lost me during these Obama years.
Similar reasoning. I was a Bernie person for a really long time. In comparison to Trump, Hillary is exponentially better in my book, so.
As far as the hand that we were dealt, the hand with a pile of shit or a pile of shit with sprinkles on top, yeah, I'm gonna go with the second one. I like you guys.
I like you guys too. This is gonna be fun.
Ooh, ice cubes and everything.
Pretty. Do I start?
Treat you guys right.
Yeah, go ahead, because I don't even know how to use that.
Really?
See, Lauren, do you think you could show Ryan how to smoke out the bong?
Yes. So, ooh, pretty. You take it. That's it.
Nice.
It's gonna be the hardest thing I've done all day.
Yep. Now it's the test time.
It only gets easier.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
My parents were proud.
Who's carrying me home?
I very much like marijuana because it very much helps my anxiety, which is perfect for this situation.
Do you feel like there's some bonding happening here? So are there
A little bit.
bridges being built?
Never thought it would happen. Honestly, never called this one. Feelings are really, really tough right now. We don't really want to listen. We want to be mad and make a statement and stand up for some really, really important issues that we should stand up for. Fighting against hate crimes, hate groups. Like, do you like hate groups? Right? Yeah, see? Most people don't like hate groups, so we have things in common.
How about you, Ryan?
What was the question again?
Donald Trump has been painted as this bigot, and a racist. How do you work that
I mean, that's a damn good question. This is one of the things where I know he's just flat out said things that I don't know how they didn't get him kicked out of the race right then and there. But that is another one of the things where it's being said in a certain way. Some of them, yeah, he might just truly be an asshole at some points. But he's saying other things in a way, like having really strong borders or building a wall and all that bullshit. Like, I don't agree with that, but I agree with the point on, like, say, maybe we do need better security, but it should be easier for people to get into this country if they want to get into this country. So, don't remember the whole point I was making, but I like what I just put down. Where do you think you're going?
You talking to an Oreo? That just happened.
It's like talking to me. I could go for a mad quiche right now.
This is a game created called Common Ground. So let's get a baseline. All right, you guys?
All right.
Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton. Game of Thrones.
Well, not like the low spectrum, but you know, it's not bad.
Oral sex.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Which kind of oral?
What kind do you think?
The normal one?
What's the normal one?
If I have to tell you, you don't want to know.
Beyonce.
I don't.
Come on.
I don't have an opinion. I don't want the Bayhive after me, so. Oh.
Did you thumbs down? Oh my
She's
God.
married to a man who likes the New York Yankees. I'm from Boston. I don't do that shit.
Once again, blaming a woman for her husband's deeds.
How about the show Supernatural on the CW?
I've been meaning to watch it.
It's good. You should.
It's not The Flash.
Zac Efron. Wow, look at that. Everyone is a fan of Zac Efron.
He's got talent.
Yep.
Getting consent before having sex. Black Lives Matter. So why do you feel conflicted?
When you say Black Lives Matter, for me, all it boils down to is who is saying it. Because again, 95% of the people who say that, who are part of that group, that is a great cause. Everything they've been doing is correct. Everything they're doing is right. But then there's a small asshole percent who uses that and takes it to the extreme. Who's the news filming this time? Who's saying what this time?
White supremacy. Who's electoral college?
The Electoral College.
Bernie Sanders. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Yeah, you have to like this guy.
You can't not.
Yo,
so
why
nice.
doesn't he run in 2020?
Obama. What makes you conflicted, Matt?
There's like a lot of things with like the Affordable Care Act. We got some really good stuff put through, but we didn't get the single payer. And because of that, it's really made it hard for a lot of people. And I think it's things like that that kind of drove people to Trump.
Did you vote for Obama in the last election?
No, so like I didn't vote for him. I still don't even like him. But just like if I don't bullshit, like he did with the hand he was dealt, he did pretty well. He didn't really have any big fuck ups or lying to the American people as far as we know, things like that. I can at least tip my hat into respect of what he tried to do and what he was able to accomplish.
So how do you guys feel about that? You guys had a lot of opportunities for common ground.
That was fun.
Do you feel like you're more likely to be open to conversations with people who voted for Trump?
When the Tea Party started up, I kind of had my whole mind shifted when a friend of mine suddenly came out as Tea Party that was Democrat, like hardcore liberal. It made me have to look at them as like, oh, these are three-dimensional people, rather than just like, these idiots that, you know, think Sarah Palin's got good policy ideas and stuff. A lot of bubbles popped. Like, we all have different Google returns when you do Google searches. That's scary. Like, we literally have different realities that we're living in. So it's hard to find common ground when, you know, the place that we ask questions is telling us different answers.
Do you guys have any final things you'd like to tell America?
Oh, just love each other. Oh, we can do this. But we gotta talk, at least.
Quit casting the other person as the villain. Like, let's just go after the villainous things.
Grow the fuck up. And the Sounders are going to win the MLS Cup.
So if you had the opportunity to vote for Bernie Sanders in the general, would you have voted for Bernie or Trump or Jill? How would you have voted?
Bernie.
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 Ride slow and I ride fast. You can't see me on a ride pass. I brought the green up in the cast. I rap that shit like batter bat. I'm a high roller with a low pro. 2 girl in the elbow. 3 switch on the control. Got 4 door with a Jaguar.
Hello everyone, welcome to Cannabis Dosage 101. We're going to show you how to take the FICO and dose it correctly. That would be the full plant extract cannabis oils. We have a syringe of oil, 1 gram. You need to get a toothpick and mark on it 3 grains of rice, the size of a grain of rice. You would also like to go ahead and get a hold of a bag of capsule lines. They're bought on the internet, any gel pill. This is a size 0. Here it is in a nutshell. I'm going to put it down here, sweetheart. You open your cannabis and you squirt it on the plate. You take an empty pill and you open it up. For the first week dosage, they're suggesting you do a grain of rice every 3 to 4 hours for a week. Here's a grain of rice if you want to watch. Put it in until it covers the grain of rice. It covers the first one. There's a grain of rice. You put it in your pill. That's a simple, single, easy dose for the first week of the cannabis treatment. Let's move to week 2. 2 grains of rice. You see the lines. Just take your time. 2 grains of rice. I got it up on one side. It's pretty thick. You can see that it's close. That's what we're doing here. It's not exact dosage, but we're showing you how to dosage for tolerance. This will be the second week. After that, it's going to be doubled every 4 days. Now I'm going to show you how to put it directly into a pill once you get into your larger dosages. You put the pill on the plate and just scratch it forward. It picks it straight up. Very simple. When you get enough in your pill, you close it, and the pill is ready. I keep them in a simple pill jar, and I can take them on anywhere I want to go. Anywhere. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Mandy Lee, and today we're gonna try this. It is the magical butter machine. Now, I'm not so sure why they call it the magical butter machine because it can do way more than that. With just the push of a button, you can set it and forget it, and it will make for you cannabis-infused butters, oils, tinctures. You can infuse your alcohols and teas with fruits and spices that normally would take weeks in just a couple hours. And it makes infused topicals as well, like lotions and shea butters. So today I'm going to show you how you can make all of these. I'm going to have the finished products for you that I will taste, and I'm going to explain some things for you, like how do you know how much cannabis to use when you're cooking, and how do you figure out how much THC milligrams are in each serving size of all the different types of things that you're making. I am also excited to share with you that we have our second Try This contest. So thanks to Magical Butter and Green Flower, we are going to be giving away one of these high-end kitchen devices for free, just for one of our lucky viewers at home. So stay tuned, because at the end of the episode, I'll fill you in all about it. So I've got my apron on. I am ready to start cooking and do a review. Let's get to it. Try This as a show where every Thursday I try new cannabis products and services right here with you, and then I give you the green flower review. So I'll admit that when it came to cooking with cannabis and making my own edibles, I was overwhelmed and intimidated. It seemed pretty challenging to figure out how I would accurately dose myself when cooking with cannabis and how I would know how much to use. It also seemed pretty tedious and time-consuming, sitting there for hours, stirring it and making sure it didn't burn and watching my cannabis. But I was really intrigued by the idea because I love to cook. And being able to, everybody knows that when you eat something that's fresh and homemade, you just can't compare it to something that's been prepackaged and sitting on a store shelf. And the great thing about when you're cooking with cannabis at home is you can be really mindful of the recipes that you're choosing and where your ingredients are coming from. You can grow your own herbs and spices or vegetables or get them from the farmer market. So if you're somebody who is using cannabis for a really severe medical illness, this seems like one of the best ways that you can consume because you're not taking guys up. Because there was some information that I thought was really important that was missing from their manual and their website, and a few additional items that I had to purchase as well in order to be able to make everything today. So I am going to share that information with you throughout the whole episode. You'll get all these tips so that it will save you lots of time and brain power if you want to purchase one of these devices yourself. Alright, so I'm going to show you how this machine works, and then at the end of the episode, we have chosen one of our viewers' suggestions for their dream chocolate-infused cannabis bar. So we are going to make a chocolate cannabis pretzel s'more bar. That is a mouthful. And it's the first time I've ever created this recipe, so we're going to do this together, and it should be very fun and exciting. So let's get to it. So when it comes to using your magical butter machine, I'm going to make it really simple for you guys. There's a few base recipes that you can make, like butter, oil, tinctures, and once those are made, then you can use that in any other recipe that you would normally make that has some of those ingredients in it. So, there's a few steps that you go through before you start using the machine. The first one is really important, which is figuring out how much cannabis flower do you use and how many THC milligrams will be in each serving. Now this is my first tip for you guys because it wasn't something I was able to find on the website or in their brochure. I had to call and talk to the company and do some research on it. Here's what I will tell you. The first way that you do that is you just get clear on how many milligrams of THC do you want to have in your finished serving. So right now, the industry standard is about 10 milligrams of THC, at least in Colorado. For me, I also find that 10 to 15 milligrams, depending on what I'm doing, is a good standard typical dose. So that's what I went off of when making these recipes. The second thing is you want to know how much THC is in the strain you're going to be using to cook. So I am using this Fire OG, which is a homegrown of my own, and I know that it has 10% THC in it. Next, you just need to know this formula. So, for 1 gram of cannabis flower, you get 1,000 milligrams of dry weight. Now, if you take 10%, because we know that's how strong this THC is in this strain, if you take 10% of 1,000 milligrams, you're left with 100 milligrams of THC per 1 gram of cannabis flower. Now, however much cannabis you want to use, however many grams, just depends on how potent you want your cannabis recipe to be. So I like to use, for a 2-cup recipe, which is the minimum that you can make in this device, the max is 5, I like to do 2 cups of 3.5 grams of cannabis flower. Now I'm going to show you with the butter recipe how you would break all that down and what that really means. So when you have a stick of butter here, you'll notice that it breaks out into tablespoon measurements. So there's 8 tablespoons for 1 stick of butter. So if I wanted to make 2 cups, which is the minimum amount of cannabis-infused butter, I would use 4 sticks of butter. Now 4 sticks has 32 tablespoons. So I have 32 tablespoons. Now if I'm going to use 3.5 grams of flour, that's going to be 350 milligrams of THC because we just discovered that you have 100 milligrams of THC per gram of cannabis flower. So if I take my 350 milligrams of THC and I divide it by my 32 tablespoons, that tells me that for every tablespoon of my infused cannabis butter, I'm going to get 10.9 milligrams of THC. This is awesome because it's an easy way of being able to measure. Everybody can just slice a tablespoon off of their butter and then you can use that on toast or you can use that to cook. So it makes it really easy to figure out how do I accurately dose myself. All right, so once you know how much cannabis you're gonna be using, the next tip I have for you is invest in a scale. You will not be sorry. So I got this scale right here. Let me take off all the covers. So I got this scale from Amazon. I did a little bit of research. It works awesome. It's about 20 bucks. It's a worthwhile investment because it can get very confusing trying to figure out how much of this is 3.5 grams of cannabis. This scale will do all the work for you. So here's how it works. You just go ahead and press the on button, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You're just gonna put your cannabis on here until it equals 3.5. All right, so once you've measured out your cannabis, there's one last step before you start using your magical butter machine, and that is you want to decarboxylate your cannabis. So you're gonna go ahead and just put it in a closed baking dish. And here is another tip for you guys. You want to make sure that you measure your cannabis before you decarboxylate, because once you decarboxylate, it's actually going to take 10% of the weight off. So if you put 30 grams that you were decarboxylating, you'd be left with 27 grams, but it's still going to have just as much THC as the 30 grams. So that's why you always want to make sure you measure before you decarb. So to decarb, you just put it in a closed baking dish, stick it in your oven at 200 degrees, and then after about 30 minutes, you come back and take it out, and just make sure that it fully cools to room temperature before you put it into your magical butter machine. So when you're making your recipes in your magical butter machine, all the base recipes are pretty much made the same. You throw in 2 to 3 ingredients, hit your button, it handles everything for you, and then when you come back, you just have to strain it and put it in whatever your measuring device is. So here are some of the things that you can make as your base recipes with the butter machine. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the reason that you would want to decarboxylate your cannabis is because your raw cannabis flower has got THCA in it, which is non-psychoactive. And so when you decarboxylate your cannabis, you're turning your THCA into THC delta 9, which does have psychoactive properties. So that's why you want to make sure that you decarb. All right, so first let's talk about my cannabis infused butter that I made here. So there's a few tips I want to share with you guys. The first one is that when you make your cannabis butter, you're going to throw in your cannabis flour, your 4 sticks of butter if you're making a 2-cup recipe, and then you use lecithin. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, so please forgive me. But my tip for you is that this is something that you purchase in addition to the machine, and the chef over at Magical Butter recommends that you get sunflower. There's a few different types, but this is the best one. I found that I could purchase this on Amazon. You can also probably get this at a healthy grocery store or a Whole Foods that's near you. And this basically just works as an emulsifier, so it's a binding agent that kind of pulls everything together. Now, the second tip I have for you guys is once you've got your cannabis infused butter, you need to put it in something that you can easily measure that's a mold. So I highly recommend you also purchase one of these. So this is a really great mold that you can use for your butter. It's called a butter mold. I also got this from Amazon. It's FDA approved, silicone, heat resistant. Your butter pops right out of it. It's the same size as a normal stick of butter. And what is most awesome about this is you can see you have all these little line marks here. And those line marks represent a tablespoon. So this way you can accurately dose yourself, because we now know with the measurements that we did that 10.9 milligrams is in each tablespoon. And so when you pop out your cannabis butter, it's gonna leave very faintly all those little tablespoon lines on there for you to accurately dose yourself. All right, the last tip that I want to share with you guys is with a 2-cup recipe of butter. I used 4 sticks, but you might notice that I only have 3 sticks of butter left here. This was something important that I learned, and my tip for you is that when you are making your cannabis infused butter with the machine, it's going to clarify your butter. So what that means is that normally when you buy your commercial butter, about 20% of that butter is actually made with filler, with water and milk. So when you clarify your butter, all of that filler gets taken out and you're left with a really nutrient-rich and dense butter, and 1 whole stick is actually the equivalent of all of the filler that's normally in there. So the reason that this is important to know is this will now change your measurements. So we were doing our measurements based off of 4 sticks of butter, but if you only have 3 sticks, we now need to change all that. So you always want to make sure that you're basing your measurements off of the end result of what you're left with. Okay, so we'll move our butter over. Now I happen to have a little bit of, I'm just gonna do a small taste for you guys since I'll be tasting a lot of things today for you. So I have some butter left over from when I was cooking, so I'm just gonna use a little bit of this. Or in anything else that you like to use your butter with. All right, let's try this, guys. Cheers. You can really taste the freshness and the lightness of it, which is awesome. And you know, there's a slight cannabis taste to it, but it's more of a refined taste. It kind of feels like a nut or an herb that I have been baking with intentionally. So I don't mind it at all. It's definitely on the mild side. Let me take one more bite. All right, so next up is our tincture. And for the tincture, you only have 2 ingredients, cannabis flower, and I used Everclear grain alcohol, which is 151 proof. You can also use glycerin. Glycerin's gonna be a little bit sweeter, and the alcohol is gonna have a little bit more of a heat to it when you ingest it. Now, I also added in some honey and mint extract to this tincture just for taste. The way that I have measured this out, it's gonna be 1.5 teaspoons to equal 10.9 milligrams. And 1.5 teaspoons is pretty much, you know, this is normally how you would purchase your tinctures from a dispensary. 1.5 teaspoons is really just one of these droppers, more or less. So today, just so that I can give you guys a sample of the taste, I'm just gonna do 1/2 teaspoon. Ta-da! I knew it was somewhere. So let me just measure this out real quick. So I'm gonna just stir it up because sometimes the mint and honey might settle a little bit. And we have a tincture. Cheers, guys. Just to make sure I don't trip here. Woo! That's funny. So the reason I have that reaction is just a little bit of the heat from the alcohol. And then I can also really taste the mint and the honey, which is just really nice and pleasant. And if you are someone who likes spice, here's another tip for you. You can use cinnamon extract as well in addition to the mint. So it gives you this little icy, spicy flavor in your mouth. So that is tinctures. Next up is our cannabis sugar. And one of the things that's so great about the sugar is you can use it so many different ways. You can cook with it, you can put it in your oatmeal, you can sprinkle it on chocolate, you can put it in coffee or hot tea, pretty much anything you'd normally use sugar for. The way you make it is you mix 1 cup of your tincture with 2 cups of organic cane sugar and you put it in the oven until it dries out into your sugar. Now here's my tip for you. I recommend when you put it in the oven, make sure that you use a baking pan because it's gonna be flat and the process will go a lot faster. And my tip for you is that you should definitely purchase one of these baking pan liners. It's again, silicone, heat resistant, FDA approved. I can get mine on Amazon. You can get yours anywhere. But it's non-stick, so you don't have to worry about greasing it and it makes it really easy to clean your pans afterwards. So good thing to purchase. All right, so I happen to have some yummy tea here, some hot tea, and I have already calculated it out. So 1 tablespoon is gonna be 10.9 milligrams of THC. Let's try this, guys. It looks so beautiful. It's gonna be a little messy. All right, here we go. So you want to make sure when you're using sugar that you just make sure it dissolves and that you mix it really well so that way your THC will be evenly distributed throughout your drink. And then you get to enjoy. All right, cheers guys. Can't really smell anything except yumminess. Okay. Wow. I tasted no cannabis at all. Like nothing. You would not even know that there was cannabis sugar in here. That's really impressive. All I taste is the flavors of the rest of the tea, which is like peppermint, rose, but it's a subtle tea, it's a white tea, so that's awesome. A+ for the cannabis sugar. All right, so let me just clean this up for a sec and we'll move on to the next one. One of the things this machine can do is it can also infuse your alcohols, and it can also infuse your teas. You can use different fruits and spices. It doesn't even have to be cannabis, and normally that process would take weeks, but with this machine you can do it in just a few hours. It also makes topicals like lotions and shea butters. Now I will say that on their website they have a bunch of different recipes for topicals and for food. All the topical recipes don't include cannabis right now, and the food ones I'd say like 50% include cannabis and 50% don't. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but the chef over at Magical Butter is awesome, and so if you just call the company, he can help you convert any recipe that you want into a cannabis-infused recipe. So good to know. I'm not going to show you how to do those, but I am going to show you right now in real time our cannabis-infused coconut oil, and then we're going to move right into making our yummy chocolate. So let me just set up the table for you guys. All right, next up is making cannabis-infused oils. Now you can make any oil into a cannabis-infused oil. The only difference between a coconut oil and the other types of oils are just that a coconut oil needs 1 hour extra in its process. So if you look at the top of the machine, there's these little buttons here. And they show you 1 hour is for oil, 2 hours for butter, 4 hours for tincture. All you do is hit that button and then you're good to go. Now I have had our coconut oil sitting in here getting all ready for us to start using it. I know that it's done because the lights have gone off on my machine and it beeps to let me know. So let me take the lid of the machine off. Put that over there. Whew, does that smell yummy? Oh, I just love that smell. It's so awesome. Okay, so once you're ready for this, next up is straining. Now when you buy your machine, it comes with the machine itself. It also comes with this little hot glove in case anything's hot that you're taking out of the oven. And then it comes with this strainer, and this strainer works amazing. Like, I'm so excited to use this strainer for other stuff when I'm cooking in the kitchen as well. So you get a little bowl here to catch your infused cannabis, cooking oil, and then you just pour it in. Let's finish up our coconut oil. And then you're good to go. So this is our infused coconut oil. All right, now it's time for us to take our cannabis-infused coconut cooking oil and turn it into our viewer-suggested chocolate cannabis pretzel s'more bars. Now I actually took the sensual chocolate recipe that Magical Butter has on their website, and I'm kind of tweaking it and being inventive to try and create this chocolate bar for us. So our first ingredient is going to be 1/4 cup of cannabis coconut oil. And then we're going to use our binding agent, a tablespoon in. Next up, we're going to do 1 tablespoon of our cannabis sugar. Next up, we are going to do 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of cacao powder. For our s'more aspect, just a couple of these marshmallows as well. These are vegan marshmallows, just for anybody who's curious. All right, so sorry for it being so loud. That's the double boiler that you're hearing, so that's all the steam there. But basically what we're doing is all the other ingredients have melted, and now we're just stirring and dropping in all of our chocolate. We're gonna do this until the chocolate melts, and then we're gonna pour it into our mold and add all of our yummy ingredients. Here goes. Ooh, it smells so good. My next tip for you is when making chocolate, you want to make sure you get a mold that you can pour your chocolate in, that you can easily decide what your serving size will be. So because each of these chocolates pops out and they're already on their own, it makes it easy to dose yourself. And I've already worked it out so that each one of these little pieces of chocolate will be 4 milligrams per serving. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start filling up our molds. And this is a mold, again, that I got off of Amazon that you guys can get as well. So I'm just gonna start delicately putting my chocolate into each of the holes. Once you've poured your chocolate into the mold, next step is to add all of your ingredients. The graham crackers, a few more marshmallows, and the pretzels. So I'm just gonna gently position them in. So I'm just gonna put a few pieces into each chocolate. This is gonna be yummy. Now we'll do some pretzels. This would be my favorite part. Nothing like a salty, sweet taste. Okay. Graham crackers. All right, so we have finished our yummy creative concoction here, our chocolate cannabis pretzel s'more bars. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the freezer. It only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to harden, and then I'm gonna come back and try these and let you know how they taste. I'm gonna fill you in about the contest so that you can get one of these magical butter machines yourself for free, and I'm gonna finish up the review. See you in a few. All right, I am back, and look how yummy and beautiful our chocolates have come out. These things look so delicious. So let's try this and see what it tastes like. I'm gonna pick this one over here because it has a little extra pretzel in it. Bam! How awesome is that? It just popped right out. So again, I highly recommend you guys pick up one of these. So this is 4 milligrams, and I'm going to indulge. Cheers, guys. That is so incredibly delicious. I can't taste any cannabis at all. I would never, if I didn't make this myself, I would have no clue that there was any cannabis in this. So this is really cool, and I love tasting all the little extra s'mores and pretzel pieces. What I'd probably say though is next time I would fill it with a little bit of chocolate, then put in the pretzels and s'mores, and then put some more chocolate so that it's right in the middle and not just on top. So you have more of the extra flavors throughout your chocolate. But this was an excellent infusion suggestion, so thank you. So here are my overall thoughts on the Magical Butter Machine. This unit is a high-end kitchen device. It goes for $175. That comes with the unit, it comes with the glove, and it comes with that awesome filter. And it also comes with a 1-year warranty. I think this is hands down awesome. This machine can do so much between the butters, the tinctures, the topicals, the oils. I mean, you can pretty much infuse almost anything that you wanted to with cannabis. It saves you all of that time. It makes the process faster and easier. You just press the button and you don't have to worry about any of the other steps in between. I will say, of course, that there was the really steep learning curve. There was a bunch of information that was missing from their website and their booklet that would have made it a lot easier. And there was also a bunch of those additional things that I had to purchase as I was going through the process and realized that I needed it. So there is that to take into consideration, but like I said, the company is awesome with answering questions. I will say that I wish some of the recipes did have a few more cannabis ones added into them, especially the topicals. But again, all you have to do is call the company and they are more than willing to work with you on whatever recipe you're looking for to change. So this unit has definitely started becoming a staple in my kitchen, just like my crock pot, just like my pressure cooker, and I highly recommend it, which is why I was so excited that we have worked together with Magical Butter at Green Flower to give one of these away for free to you guys. So here's how it's going to work. It's a 2-step simple process. Step number 1, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Step number 2, click on the link up here or in the description below and you can enter the contest. Now we've done something really cool here this week. If you know a friend who would like to have one of these devices themselves or would be interested, you can forward the contest to them, and by doing that, it gives you multiple chances to win the device yourself. So each time you hit the little button to share it with a friend, you're gonna get another entry into the contest. Now the contest is only gonna be for a week, so you don't wanna wait. If you want one of these, go ahead and enter, go ahead and send it to your friends so you get multiple entries in, and then tune back next week because we're gonna pick the winner of the contest right here live on our next Try This episode. All right, so that brings us to the end of our episode. And now that we know that you can turn almost any recipe into a homemade cannabis infusion, I suggest that we all put down below what our favorite recipe is. This way we spur up some creativity for people who want to go home and try cooking with their own cannabis and making their own edibles. And if you like this episode, the way you let us know is by giving us the thumbs up, and remember to subscribe so that you can catch our show every Thursday. You can head on over to greenflowermedia.com for any of your cannabis education needs. And I do want to say that over at Greenflower, we just came out with a new course all about how to cook with cannabis. So if you're someone who loves to cook and you'd like to learn how to make your own butters and recipes and oils without having to use a device, you should definitely head on over to greenflowermedia.com to check out our online cooking course. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next Thursday. Who knows what we're going to try next? You can click on the link right here or in the YouTube. That reminded me of like Scooby-Dooby-Doo. This message is approved. Okay.
Hi my friends, this is another video and obviously welcome to another episode of Cancer Diaries, and today we're counting down 5 things that I have as an advice for friends and family. So let's get started. Number 1, it's okay if you're heartbroken, and it's okay to be angry. And all those feelings, you should definitely express them, tell them to the person who is sick and talk to them. Don't keep it to yourself, maybe talk to a professional, because it is overwhelming to get this diagnosis and it will affect you just as much as the person that is sick. And it's okay that you feel overwhelmed, it's okay that you feel sad and heartbroken, because even though you're not the person that is sick, it affects you as well. Number 2, toss the kid gloves. Seriously, what I hate the most about being sick is being treated like I'm being sick. That means everybody's super careful, everybody tries not to fight around me. Maybe they ignore what they want to say to me because I'm sick, and that is the most wrong thing you can do, because everything I ever want, and anything anyone who's sick ever wants, is to be treated like it's not happening, to be treated like it's normal, like it's normal life, like they can still be a part of life without the illness controlling everything. So the important part would be, don't treat them like too special, just treat them like you would normally do and give them some normality in their life, and they will be so grateful to you. Number 3, I know it's hard, but try to stay positive. That means no matter what happens, like, I don't know, I maybe have a day where I don't want to get up or feel nauseous all the day, and you don't have to be happy about it, but try not to let that tear you down. Like, try to focus on the important goal, which is keeping me healthy, keeping the person alive, and be happy that they live to see another day, and see the positive things. Try to see the positive in everything, because sometimes the person that is sick won't have the power to do so. And so you might come in handy if you can say, I don't know, but look, the sun is shining, or look, the dog just did something stupid. At least there's something small and happy in every day. Number 4, don't pressure the person that is sick into doing anything, because the number one thing that's most stressful is when you know you have to do something, you don't have the strength to do it, and you have the constant pressure of somebody who isn't living the same thing. That means if they're not getting up, if they're not drinking enough, if they don't want to go outside, don't get mad at them. Don't get mad, because you're not helping them. Because for me it's like this: if I can't get up, I'm upset, I'm very sad. And it makes me even sadder that you get mad at me, because if you get mad about the fact that I can't do something, I get even madder at myself. So try to stay calm, try to be understanding, and instead of getting mad or trying to pressure them into something, try to really help them. Like, if they can't drink, if they're not drinking enough, put something there, tell them they can drink when they want, and then leave them alone, because chances are they're gonna do better if you're not pressuring them. Number 5, there is no culprit. It's as easy as that. It's not useful to anybody to look for somebody to blame it on. It doesn't help the person that is sick if you blame it on them. Like if you have, I don't know, maybe somebody who has lung cancer and it's obviously due to them smoking. It doesn't help them if you tell them, well, I told you so. Don't blame the doctors. Don't blame yourself, most importantly, because finding somebody to blame really doesn't help anybody. You can only try to improve everything from now on. It's not useful to just try and see who was responsible for it in the past. From now on, it's your responsibility and it's the responsibility of the person who's sick that this doesn't happen again. That means maybe dietary changes, maybe health changes, maybe be just generally more aware of yourself, but don't go digging in the past to see whose fault it is, because really cancer happens, and I mean there are factors that can enhance it, but really it's just bad luck. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you like it. If you want to see more like this, feel free to ask me questions or check out my Facebook page. I will leave the link in the description below, and I will see you next week.
Hey, it's Chris. Welcome to the Square One Healing Cancer Coaching Program. This is Module 1, First Things First. In this module, we're going to do some broad brushstrokes, an overview to get you started, and to change the way you're thinking about your situation, about cancer, and about your life. The very first thing you need to know is this. Cancer is a divine tap on the shoulder, and there's a message attached. And that message is, hey, the way you're living is killing you. The way you are living is killing you. Now, I'm not telling you that to make you feel bad about yourself. I'm not trying to put shame on you. What I'm telling you is now is the time to take full responsibility for your life. One of the most important things I did after my cancer diagnosis was to be honest with myself and say, well, maybe this is my fault. Maybe I had something to do with this. If I contributed to my disease, then maybe I can contribute to my health. We live in a cause and effect world, and our choices matter. What you put in your mouth matters, what you put on your body matters, where you live matters, where you work matters. Your choices matter. Cancer is the convergence of multiple health-destroying factors in your life that all come together at the same time. The way you're living is killing you. Just go ahead and accept it. And if you go ahead and say, okay, this may be my fault, you know what that does? It empowers you. It empowers you to change. The cancer industry wants you to think it's not your fault. They want you to think it was just random bad luck and that nothing you did mattered, therefore nothing you can do matters, except showing up for surgery, chemo, and radiation treatments. But the truth is, your choices can make the difference between survival and death. Whether you're doing conventional treatment or not, there is so much you can do to promote health and healing in your body, and we'll cover it all in the Square One course. The point is not to blame yourself and wallow in self-pity. The point is to accept responsibility for your situation and change everything you can for the better. I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. And most of the time, the reason is you. You are the reason that many things in your life happen to you. Not everything, of course, but a lot of things, because the decisions we made in the past affect our reality today. An easy example, the decision to consistently study in school results in better grades. Better grades result in college acceptance and scholarships. A college degree opens up doors for better career opportunities. All of our decisions matter. The diet and lifestyle decisions that you've made up to this point have all affected your health, whether you've realized it or not. And now we're going to make some changes. When we change the input, we change the output. Okay, so let's talk about the specifics of cancer. First, cancer is natural and it is normal. Every person develops precancerous and cancerous cells in their body in their lifetime, but not every person develops tumors. The difference between the person with cancerous tumors and the person with no tumors is their immune system. Your immune system is designed to identify and eliminate viruses, bacteria, parasites, pathogens, and mutated cancer cells. For a variety of reasons, cells in your body become injured. They can get DNA damage or mitochondrial damage, and when a cell becomes injured, it usually repairs itself or dies. But in some cases, that cell will mutate to survive. If it's deprived of essential nutrients or oxygen, it can mutate to become cancerous. Every cell in your body is programmed to die at a certain point. Some cells live for a few days, some live for weeks, some cells live for many months, but they all have a programmed lifespan. The cancer cell doesn't have that. When a cell mutates and becomes cancerous, it starts dividing uncontrollably, and it loses the auto self-destruct mechanism, and it keeps living and multiplying. Eventually, it forms a tumor, and then cells from that tumor leave and form new tumors in other parts of the body. That's the way we've been told cancer develops. But 2 studies on breast cancer published in 2016 found that metastatic cancer cells leave the primary site before the tumor is even big enough to detect. Generally, a tumor can't be detected until it's at least 1 millimeter in size. But by then, it contains between 100,000 and 1 million cancer cells, and it's been growing for 6 years. Stage 1 is metastatic. You already have cancer cells circulating throughout your body. This is why early detection is often too late, and why metastasis happens after they tell a patient, we got it all. A properly functioning immune system is designed to identify and eliminate cancer cells. And if it's not doing that, if you have a tumor or lesion in your body, then that's an indication that your immune system is either overloaded or suppressed, or maybe both. It can't keep up with the demands you're placing on it. Cancer didn't invade you from another planet. These are your cells. Cancer is you. It's your DNA. Your body created it, and your body can heal it. How do I know that? Well, besides my own healing experience, I've talked to, interviewed, and coached hundreds of people who've healed cancer, and many of their stories are much more remarkable than mine. I've met and interviewed many people who've healed stage 4 terminal cancer after chemo, surgery, and radiation failed them, and others who've healed without doing any of those treatments. If you know my story, then you know I had surgery, and then I chose nutrition and natural, non-toxic therapies instead of chemotherapy. And my odds of survival as a young adult with metastatic colon cancer, stage 3C, were, as my oncologist put it, very grim. I had less than a 30% chance of making it to the 5-year mark, and less than a 20% chance of making it 10 years. I firmly believe that the radical diet and lifestyle choices that I made all the difference. My choices are the reason I'm here today. In the medical community, and especially in the cancer community, there's a long-standing belief that cancer is linear. That means once it starts in your body, it can't be stopped. It's like an unstoppable train. And the only way to stop the train is to blow up the tracks with destructive therapies like surgery, chemo, and radiation. But there's a lot of scientific evidence to the contrary. When cancer goes away on its own, it's called spontaneous remission. This is a medically documented fact. It's a medical term. They made it up, not me. In fact, there's a huge book called The Spontaneous Remission Project. It has over 3,500 references from 800 medical journals. It's the largest compilation of case studies and medical references of cancer patients who've had spontaneous remission. These were cancer patients who either didn't do treatment or the treatment didn't work, and then for some reason their cancer went away. We have scientific proof that the body can heal cancer. The medical industry calls it spontaneous remission, but we have another term for it: healing. Spontaneous remission means the body healed it. The body created it, and the body can heal it. There are thousands of scientifically documented cases, not to mention all the wonderful testimonials online, but skeptics still like to say, well, that's just anecdotal. The truth is, we learn from the experiences of others. Those are anecdotes. And many of the most important scientific discoveries in human history started with an anecdote. Sometimes one anecdote is all it takes to change your life. When I started my healing adventure in 2004, the internet was not helpful. There were no good websites for healing cancer. There was no social media, no YouTube, no Facebook. All I had was one book, one man's testimonial. That was it. But that was all I needed. I knew it was an answer to prayer, and it was enough to inspire me to change everything. Things are much better for you today. There's never been a better time to get cancer. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of cancer healing testimonials online, on Facebook, on YouTube. There are over 50 on my site alone, and I'm adding new ones all the time. Cancer can go away. It's called spontaneous remission. I want you to understand and believe that healing is possible. The body created it, and the body can heal it, if given the proper nutrients and care, which means you have to change the way you're living and remove all of the cancer-causing factors in your life. In most cases, cancer isn't caused by one thing. Many of you know the story of Erin Brockovich. She found out they had very high rates of cancer in her town because a local factory was illegally dumping hexavalent chromium, and it was contaminating the water supply. And a lot of people were getting cancer. So in that case, they could pinpoint it to one thing, but still, not everyone who drank the toxic water got cancer. So the good news is, even if you're exposed to environmental toxins, your diet and lifestyle can be protective. But you still need to reduce your toxic exposure to the absolute minimum. I'm going to show you how to do that in Module 4. Several recent studies have concluded that between 70% and 95% of cancers are caused by our diet, lifestyle, and environment. I'm going to add a fourth factor: stress. I'll address that in Module 5, but for now, let's talk about the first three. Many researchers believe that less than 5% of cancers are genetic, and that 95% are caused by diet, lifestyle, and environment. But even if that figure is closer to 70%, that's huge. 70% has almost everything to do with you. So let's talk about epigenetics. Epigenetics is a branch of science that studies how genes express themselves. So we know that not every woman with a breast cancer gene gets breast cancer. Why? Because your genes don't determine your fate. Your diet, lifestyle, and environment all contribute to whether or not your genes express themselves. We've all inherited some good genes and some bad ones. We want to express or turn on as many of the good cancer-preventing genes as possible, and you want to turn off or prevent the expression of the bad cancer-causing genes. Your diet and lifestyle behaviors and your environment can make all the difference. Your choices matter. There's a recent study that looked at multiple groups of twins. And what they found is that if one twin gets breast cancer, then the other twin has a much higher risk of getting breast cancer, especially if they're identical twins because they're genetically identical. But even though the other twin is a higher risk, many of them still don't get cancer. This further illustrates the point that it's not just about genetics. Genetics may load the gun, but your diet and lifestyle pull the trigger. So yeah, you may have a higher risk of cancer, heart disease, or diabetes if your parents or grandparents had those diseases. but your risk increases the most if you eat the same Western diet as them. So if you live the way they lived, you can expect to get the same diseases they got. If your mom got breast cancer and she had a Western diet and she didn't exercise, and then if you eat a standard Western diet and don't exercise, then yeah, you probably will get breast cancer too. But if you eat a radically different diet modeled after the longest living people around the world with the lowest rates of breast cancer, and you're active, then your risk of getting breast cancer will be much, much lower. The rate of breast cancer is 6 times lower in Japan than it is in the US. But when Japanese women migrate to the US and adopt the Western diet and lifestyle, their rate of breast cancer eventually rises to the same level as American women. Your choices matter. Think of your body like a giant factory. The beginning of the conveyor belt, the entrance of the factory is your mouth, and the parts coming into the factory are food. Food is coming into your mouth and going down the conveyor belt, which is your digestive tract, from mouth to anus. And along the way, workers in your factory are breaking down the food you eat and carrying the nutrients all around your body to give your cells what they need. The product of your factory is health. The goal of your body is to stay healthy, right? In homeostasis. Now, imagine a factory that's open 24 hours a day and the assembly line never stops, and gradually the owners of the factory keep putting more stuff on the assembly line, but they don't hire any more workers. If you keep adding parts to the assembly line and you don't add more workers, you're going to create chaos in the factory. There's a classic I Love Lucy episode where Lucy and Ethel are working in a candy factory wrapping chocolates as they come down the conveyor belt. Then the conveyor belt speeds up and they can't keep up and the candies are piling up and falling off. And they're trying to get rid of the extra candies by eating them and stuffing them in their clothes so they don't get fired. It's hilarious chaos. This is kind of like what's happening in your body if you have cancer or any type of chronic Western disease, except it's not hilarious. Your body is overloaded and overwhelmed. There's too much coming in too fast, and your body can't keep up with the demand you're putting on it. Chaos ensues, garbage piles up, problems arise, and everybody is working as hard and as fast as they can just to try to keep up with the demand, but they aren't able to keep up. Your immune system is overwhelmed and it doesn't have enough capacity to deal with the rogue cancer cell that started multiplying and formed a lesion or a tumor, or maybe spreading in your blood like leukemia or lymphoma. What we want to do is we want to reduce the stress on your body, reduce your toxic load, simplify your life, and create an environment where your body can thrive, where it can prevent and heal cancer. We want your body to be a place where cancer cannot thrive. In the scientific community, they refer to this as an environment that's inhospitable to cancer. It's all about the terrain. Your internal terrain is either hospitable to cancer or inhospitable. We want to make it inhospitable. And there are major changes you can make to improve your internal terrain. Right now, you are what you ate. Your body is essentially made out of everything you put in your mouth. If you've been eating junk food and fast food for years, well, then your body is basically built out of junk. It's clogged up and it's polluted and it's not running right. But when you replace the man-made processed junk with high-quality raw materials straight from the earth, you dramatically change your internal terrain. I'm going to show you specifically how to do that in the anti-cancer diet modules, which is modules 3 and 4. Now I want to switch gears. There are 2 important questions that I ask every cancer patient, and now I'm going to ask you. The first one is, why do you think you have cancer? If you're taking notes, write the answer down. What are the reasons that you think you have cancer? I think you know why you have cancer. There may be some factors in your life that you aren't aware of yet, but I'm also confident that there are factors you do know about. If you think it's stress, you're right. If you think it's because you haven't been taking care of yourself, you're right. How do I know that? Because I've talked to hundreds of cancer patients, and when I ask them that question, they all tell me, I haven't been taking care of myself, and I've had a lot of stress in my life. Listen to your instincts and your intuition. Now, your doctor is not going to ask you why you think you have cancer, because most doctors don't care what you think. If you volunteer why you think you have cancer to your doctor, he's just going to shrug it off and say, it wasn't your diet or lifestyle or stress. It was just bad luck or bad genes. If you have family history, they'll tell you it's genetic. I didn't have any family history, and they told me mine was genetic. Blaming genetics is a way to make the cancer patient powerless. The cancer industry wants to make you a victim, a helpless, powerless victim. A victim has no control over their situation, which means you must be fully dependent on doctors to save you. And there's nothing you can do to affect your future. No, it's nothing you did. No, your diet doesn't matter. Yes, it's okay to eat ice cream, pizza, and burgers. You just need to make sure you eat enough so you don't lose weight. Natural non-toxic therapies won't help you. We are your only hope. That is the message that cancer patients are getting from their oncologists. And I'm here to tell you it's a lie. They're not your only hope. Your body created it. Your body can heal it. The second question I ask every cancer patient is, do you really want to live? The first time someone asked me that, it scared me because I'd never really thought about it. I was so focused on not dying, I wasn't really thinking about living and whether or not I really truly wanted to live. So you need to answer this. It's a yes or no question. Do you want to live? Because if you don't really want to live, there's really no point in doing anything. I mean, there's no point in changing your life. There's certainly no point in doing surgery, chemo, or radiation. Maybe you're content with your life and you're ready to die. Or maybe you're unhappy with your life and you're just tired of living. That's okay. No judgment. If you're ready to die, that's totally fine. My suggestion to you is, why don't you just enjoy the rest of your life doing what you want to do? Like Norma Bauerschmidt, aka Driving Miss Norma. She refused cancer treatment at 90 years old, hit the road in an RV, and spent the last year of her life traveling all over the US having adventures with her son and his wife. Norma wasn't trying to get well. She just made a decision to live it up to the end, and she died peacefully after a few weeks in hospice. I love that. If I had a loved one with cancer and they told me, I don't want to do anything, I just want to enjoy the rest of my life eating cheeseburgers and milkshakes 3 times a day, I'd say, okay, if that's what you want, I'll go get you some. You shouldn't do anything you don't want to do. Whether it's surgery, chemo, radiation, alternative therapies, whatever it is, if you don't want to do it, if you don't have that strong will to live, don't do it. But if you do want to live, you should know that beating cancer, healing the body, takes total commitment. Total commitment, no excuses. The characteristics of cancer patients that get well, like myself and hundreds I've met, are the same. We're all the same. There are 2 characteristics of cancer patients who heal cancer. 1, they have a strong will to live. And 2, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get well. They make no excuses. That's who this course is for. It's for people who have a strong will to live, who take full responsibility for their health, and who are willing to change everything. If that's you, then great. I am here for you. You are the person I am here to serve. But if you don't have a strong will to live, if you don't want to change your life, if you're not willing to quit smoking or change your diet or exercise or forgive, then this course is not for you. You must have a strong will to live, and you must be willing to do whatever it takes to get well. I'm talking about taking massive action. Minimal action usually produces minimal results. Massive action produces massive results. Sometimes small changes can produce big results, but if that's what you're hoping for, your hope is in the wrong place, because I will never tell you this one supplement or this herb or this one food is going to cure your cancer. And anyone who tells you those kinds of things is scamming you. That's snake oil, the one cancer cure, the magic bullet. There is no magic bullet. Healing requires a total life change. You have to be prepared to take massive action and make a total commitment. I'm talking about at least 2 years. 2 years, hardcore life change. I've seen a lot of cancer patients have dramatic turnarounds in their health in a very short time. 30, 60, 90 days. Tumors start to shrink or even disappear. But a 2-year commitment is essential because that's when you're at the highest risk of recurrence. Every cell in your body regenerates. You have almost an entirely new body every year. Nearly every cell has been replaced, some cells many times over in a year. But 1 year from now, you will basically have an entirely new body. That's pretty cool to think about. You are rebuilding your body. Every bite you take, you're building a new body. Remind yourself every day with every bite. I would think about that when I had cancer as I'm staring at this giant bowl full of vegetables. Some days I would have rather had a cheeseburger, but I reminded myself I'm building a new body. And that's what you have to be committed to do. At least 2 years, hardcore. There's a strange phenomenon that I see regularly, which is a cancer patient will adopt the hardcore diet and life change and do really well in the beginning. They feel great, the tumors start shrinking, or some tumors disappear within the first few months. And then for some reason, they get lazy and complacent, and they gradually go back to their old habits and their old way of living. And then the cancer starts growing again, or it comes back. Sometimes they become impatient that the tumors aren't going away fast enough. And then they let their doctors scare them and talk them into the quick fix of surgery, chemo, or radiation. And then the suffering begins. They're sick, they're weak, they can't eat, they can't get out of bed, and they get depressed and lose their motivation. And all the nutrition and exercise and health promoting habits go out the window. And then the cancer comes back and their situation goes downhill really fast. And it often does not end well for them. So let's talk about fear. Fear is a major factor here. I get it. I know what it feels like to be afraid of cancer. But let's break fear down for a moment. Where does the fear of cancer come from? It comes from the cancer industry because most people are afraid of suffering. They're afraid of the brutal treatments. They're afraid of being sick and poisoned and the damage that it does to their body and all the uncertainties and unknowns. They're afraid of all the complications that can come from surgery, chemo, and radiation. That's where the fear comes from. Most patients I've talked to are not really afraid of dying. They're just afraid of suffering. You need to be honest with yourself about what you're really afraid of and address that fear head on. If you're afraid of suffering from chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery, that's pretty normal. But remember, most of the fear of cancer comes from the cancer industry. And what I've got to tell you is, don't be afraid. Do not let fear dictate your decision-making process. Because when you're afraid, your stress hormones are pumping and you will make irrational and impulsive decisions. The cancer industry uses fear to motivate patients to take immediate action. They say, if you don't do these treatments, you're going to die. We need to start right away. And patients are rushed into treatment with fear. Remember, the cancer treatment industry is a business. This is a $1 trillion industry. And over the years, the oncology industry has figured out that if they don't book cancer patients into surgery or chemo or the next procedure before they leave the office, then there's a good chance they will lose that patient and lose that future income. For a short time, my mom actually worked in an oncologist office, and her job was to book the patients for their next appointment before they left. It wasn't a sinister plot, it was just the way things work. A patient comes in, they get a cancer diagnosis, and then it's like, okay, now we've got to make sure we get them booked for their next appointment or procedure before they leave. Don't be afraid. Take a deep breath and breathe. You've got to breathe through this. You have time to read and research. You have time to change your life. You have time. Now, there will always be exceptions. If you have a tumor that's blocking your windpipe or your digestive tract, you may need immediate surgery. But most cancer patients have time. Many patients don't even feel sick when they get a diagnosis. You have time to read and research, you have time to change your life, and you have options. Don't let anyone rush you into anything you don't want to do. Don't make a fear-based decision. Listen to your instincts and your intuition. If you don't want to do a specific treatment, if something deep down inside of you is saying, don't do it, then don't do it. It doesn't matter if your family and your friends want you to, or if the doctor says you need to. Your instincts and intuition are powerful. You need to take the time to read and research and to change your life. You could experience a dramatic improvement in as little as 30 to 90 days doing exactly what I'm talking about in this course. I'm often asked if I would still have surgery knowing what I know now. And my answer to that is no. I would not have rushed into surgery immediately because my tumor was not life-threatening when I was diagnosed. I would have taken some time, 30 to 90 days, to change my life and give my body the opportunity to heal. And I would have closely monitored my progress along the way. We'll talk about the best ways to do that in Module 9, which is all about testing and how to monitor your progress. In my 20 questions for your oncologist guide, which is also part of this course, there are some critical questions to ask your doctor. And one of them is my cancer fast growing or slow growing? Chances are it's slow. You've had cancer growing in your body for a long time, many years. It didn't pop up overnight, so tell your doctor you need more time. I'd like to take a few months to get my life in order. I'm not ready for treatment yet. And in many cases, they will give you permission to delay treatment. If they don't give you permission, then you have to decide whether or not you want to go against your doctor's advice. That's not as easy, but people do it all the time. Now, let's talk about the people around you. Because if you make a decision to delay or opt out of conventional cancer treatment, some people will not understand. They'll tell you you're wrong and that you're making a mistake. The first person that disagreed with me was my wife, Micah. She loves me, but when I told her I wanted to heal with nutrition and not do chemo, she thought I was making a huge mistake. And then other people around me, family members who loved me and wanted me to live, began calling and telling me I was making a mistake. And like many cancer patients, in order to appease the family pressure, I went to see an oncologist. When I asked him about alternative therapies, he said, if you don't do chemo, you're insane. The only
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jake Lors, Dustin Davidson, and JB Brubaker of August Burns Red. We're here at the 2013 Vans Warped Tour, and we're here to talk to Fuse TV about the do's and the don'ts of the mosh pit.
Do wear proper shoes while in the pit.
Do pick up people who fall down in the pit.
Do please open your spirit and your heart and your soul to the mosh pit and just let it guide you throughout the pit around the people.
How has the reaction to Trump winning felt?
I definitely knew there was going to be some backlash. That's the way it always is. If someone wins, someone doesn't. Being a Patriots fan, when they beat the Seahawks, I got bad backlash. The thing I wasn't expecting was I've been getting a lot of just very negative, like, racial slurs and, like, actually threats towards myself and my parents from my friends who are on the other side.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a small business owner / artist, and I voted for Jill Stein.
I am Lauren. I am a full-time activist, and I voted for Hillary.
My name's Ryan. I work in the nightlife industry, and I voted for Trump.
Why'd you vote for Jill Stein?
Bernie was taken out of the race. He was the only one that was keeping me with the Democratic Party. They lost me during these Obama years.
Similar reasoning. I was a Bernie person for a really long time. In comparison to Trump, Hillary is exponentially better in my book, so.
As far as the hand that we were dealt, the hand with the pile of shit or a pile of shit with sprinkles on top, yeah, I'm gonna go with the second one. I like you guys.
I like you guys too. This is gonna be fun.
Ooh, ice cubes and everything.
Pretty.
Treat you guys right.
Yeah, go ahead, because I don't even know how to use that.
Really?
See, Lauren, do you think you could show Ryan how to smoke out the bong?
Yes. So, ooh, pretty. You take it. That's it.
Nice.
It's gonna be the hardest thing I've done all day.
Yep. Now it's the test time.
It only gets easier.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
My parents were proud.
Who's carrying me home?
I very much like marijuana because it very much helps my anxiety, which is perfect for this situation.
Do you feel like there's some bonding happening here? So are there bridges being built?
Never thought it would happen. Honestly, never called this one. Feelings are really, really tough right now. We don't really want to listen. We want to be mad and make a statement and stand up for some really, really important issues that we should stand up for. Fighting against hate crimes, hate groups. Like, do you like hate groups? Right? Yeah, see? Like, most people don't like hate groups, so we have things in common.
How about you, Ryan?
What was the question again?
Donald Trump has been painted as this bigot, and a racist. How do you work that out?
I mean, that's a damn good question. This is one of the things where I know he's just flat out said things that I don't know how they didn't get him kicked out of the race right then and there. But that is another one of the things where it's being said in a certain way. Some of them, yeah, he might just truly be an asshole at some points. But he's saying other things in a way, like having really strong borders or building a wall and all that bullshit. Like, I don't agree with that, but I agree with the point on, like, say, maybe we do need better security, but it should be easier for people to get into this country if they want to get into this country. So, I don't remember the whole point I was making, but I like what I just put down. Where do you think you're going?
You talking to an Oreo? That just happened.
It's like talking to me. I could go for a mad quiche right now.
This is a game created called Common Ground. So let's get a baseline. All right, you guys?
All right.
Donald Trump.
Well, not like the low spectrum, but you know, it's not bad.
Oral sex.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Which kind of oral?
What kind do you think?
The normal one?
What's the normal one?
If I have to tell you, you don't want to know.
Beyonce.
I don't.
Come on.
I don't have an opinion. I don't want the Bayhive after me, so. Oh.
Did you thumbs down? Oh my
She's
God.
married to a man who likes the New York Yankees. I'm from Boston. I don't do that shit.
Once again, blaming a woman for her husband's deeds.
How about the show Supernatural on the CW?
I've been meaning to watch it.
It's good. You should.
It's not The Flash.
Zac Efron. Wow, look at that. Everyone is a fan of Zac Efron.
He's got talent.
Yep.
Getting consent before having sex. Black Lives Matter. So why do you feel conflicted?
When you say Black Lives Matter, for me, all it boils down to is who is saying it. Because again, 95% of the people who say that, who are part of that group, that is a great cause. Everything they've been doing is correct. Everything they're doing is right. But then there's a small asshole percent who uses that and takes it to the extreme. Who's the news filming this time? Who's saying what this time?
White supremacy. Electoral college.
The Electoral College.
Bernie Sanders. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah, you have to like this guy.
You can't not.
Yo,
so
why
nice.
doesn't he run in 2020?
Obama. What makes you conflicted, Matt?
There's like a lot of things with like the Affordable Care Act. We got some really good stuff put through, but we didn't get the single payer. And because of that, it's really made it hard for a lot of people. And I think it's things like that that kind of drove people to Trump.
Did you vote for Obama in the last election?
No, so like I didn't vote for him. I still don't even like him. But just like if I don't bullshit, like he did with the hand he was dealt, he did pretty well. He didn't really have any big fuck ups or lying to the American people as far as we know, things like that. I can at least tip my hat into respect of what he tried to do and what he was able to accomplish.
So how do you guys feel about that? You guys had a lot of opportunities for common ground.
That was fun.
Do you feel like you're more likely to be open to conversations with people who voted for Trump?
When the Tea Party started up, I kind of had my whole mind shifted when a friend of mine suddenly came out as Tea Party that was Democrat, like hardcore liberal. It made me have to look at them as like, oh, these are three-dimensional people, rather than just like, these idiots that, think Sarah Palin's got good policy ideas and stuff. A lot of bubbles popped. Like, we all have different Google returns when you do Google searches. That's scary. Like, we literally have different realities that we're living in. So it's hard to find common ground when, the place that we ask questions is telling us different answers.
Do you guys have any final things you'd like to tell America?
Oh, just love each other. Oh, we can do this. But we gotta talk, at least.
Quit casting the other person as the villain. Like, let's just go after the villainous things.
Grow the fuck up. And the Sounders are going to win the MLS Cup.
So if you had the opportunity to vote for Bernie Sanders in the general, would you have voted for Bernie or Trump or Jill? How would you have voted?
Bernie.
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 Ride slow and I ride fast. You can't see me on a ride past. I rap the green up in the cast. I rap that shit like batter bat. I'm a high roller with a low pro. 2 girl in the elbow. 3 switch in the control. Got 4 door and a Jaguar.
Hello everyone, welcome to Cannabis Dosage 101. We're going to show you how to take the FICO and dose it correctly. That would be the full plant extract cannabis oils. We have a syringe of oil, 1 gram. You need to get a toothpick and mark on it 3 grains of rice, the size of a grain of rice. You would also like to go ahead and get a hold of a bag of capsule lines. They're bought on the internet, any gel pill. This is a size 0. Here it is in a nutshell. I'm going to put it down here, sweetheart. You open your cannabis and you squirt it on the plate. You take an empty pill and you open it up. For the first week dosage, they're suggesting you do a grain of rice every 3 to 4 hours for a week. Here's a grain of rice if you want to watch. Put it in until it covers the grain of rice. It covers the first one. There's a grain of rice. You put it in your pill. That's a simple, single, easy dose for the first week of the cannabis treatment. Let's move to week 2. 2 grains of rice. See the lines. Just take your time. 2 grains of rice. I got it up on one side. It's pretty thick. You can see that it's close. That's what we're doing here. It's not exact dosage, but we're showing you how to dosage for tolerance. This will be the second week. After that, it's going to be doubled every 4 days. Now I'm going to show you how to put it directly into a pill once you get into your larger dosages. You put the pill on the plate and just scratch it forward. It picks it straight up. Very simple. When you get enough in your pill, you close it, and the pill is ready. I keep them in a simple pill jar, and I can take them on anywhere I want to go. Anywhere. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Mandy Lee, and today we're gonna try this. It is the magical butter machine. Now, I'm not so sure why they call it the magical butter machine because it can do way more than that. With just the push of a button, you can set it and forget it, and it will make for you cannabis-infused butters, oils, tinctures. You can infuse your alcohols and teas with fruits and spices that normally would take weeks in just a couple hours. And it makes infused topicals as well, like lotions and shea butters. So today I'm going to show you how you can make all of these. I'm going to have the finished products for you that I will taste. And I'm going to explain some things for you, like how do you know how much cannabis to use when you're cooking? And how do you figure out how much THC milligrams are in each serving size of all the different types of things that you're making? I am also excited to share with you that we have our second Try This contest. So thanks to Magical Butter and Green Flower, we are going to be giving away one of these high-end kitchen devices for free, just for one of our lucky viewers at home. So stay tuned because at the end of the episode, I'll fill you in all about it. So I've got my apron on. I am ready to start cooking and do a review. Let's get to it. Try This is a show where every Thursday I try new cannabis products and services right here with you, and then I give you the Green Flower review. So I'll admit that when it came to cooking with cannabis and making my own edibles, I was overwhelmed and intimidated. It seemed pretty challenging to figure out how I would accurately dose myself when cooking with cannabis and how I would know how much to use. It also seemed pretty tedious and time-consuming, sitting there for hours, stirring it and making sure it didn't burn and watching my cannabis. But I was really intrigued by the idea because I love to cook. And being able to have fresh, homemade cannabis edibles at home, I mean, everybody knows that when you eat something that's fresh and homemade, you just can't compare